So, Revant, Kavya called you primarily a health advocate. Is that a fair way to describe what you do?
Sure.
Yes. But I know something that some of the people in this room may not know, that before becoming a health advocate, you've been an author. Yes?
Yeah.
Shall we talk about that for a
Sure.
minute? Yeah. So, if I remember correctly, the name of the book you put out is Selfienomics.
Yeah.
Tell us about the intent behind the book and why you wrote it, what you wrote in it.
A lot of people know me as Food Pharmer and through Instagram and YouTube. And they think I am what I am because of few viral videos. What people don't know is 10 years ago, I wrote a book called Selfienomics, which had a whole chapter on nutrition label. And even back then, I had just studied the nutrition and I had realized that one of the most important, if I ask anyone, what's the most important skill that you would want your child to learn? Especially 10 years ago, people would say coding. Now, I guess with AI, even coding is getting a question mark.
Sure.
But according to me, when I studied this, when I studied nutrition, I realized that even more important than coding is learning how to decode a food label. And that's how I had a whole chapter on nutrition label 10 years ago in a book called Selfienomics, which no one read. Which literally no one read. And then I just kept at it. I kept, going for events, talking, and then making videos. And then something clicked, and then people obviously will say that, oh, he got viral and he got lucky and all of that. But people don't know that it was 10 years ago which I did it. And the idea was just to spread awareness. If you know, there's almost no money in books. So it was just a thing which I did out of passion, and that's how it went.
Thank you. You're saying no one read, but I'll tell you that I have read at least a little bit, and I'm going to spend a minute about that. Two key concepts I got from the book. One is that everyone must build their personal brand, which you obviously very clearly have. Following your book, you took your own advice from the book, and you succeeded like crazy. The other thing, you told people to embrace loneliness, and then you went on to gather 5 million followers. So over there, you were lying to yourself, you didn't take your own advice, or you changed your mind?
I'll just say one thing. Just because you have 50 lakh people following you does not mean you're not lonely. Because you have people on your phone, but when you want to talk to someone, you don't know who to talk to. So it's a very different thing to have followers versus having someone to talk to, because it's a very different world altogether.
Spot on. And I think, especially doing the kind of work you're doing now, I suspect that it can get pretty lonely. You can make, get less popular at cocktail parties and so on and so forth, I'm guessing. How is that?
Yeah,
what do mommy and daddy have to say about what you're doing?
Now they are much more positive. I think for the first 1 or 2 years, they were very scared, and especially in the first 2-3 months. Because I had left my job in the US. I was working there for 13 years. I was in the US. So I left my H-1B visa and everything, came back to India. And not only did I quit my job, I'm here fighting with companies to some extent. And so they're like, this guy has gone crazy. He's not only left his job, he'll probably not get any other job. Because when you Google my name, the first thing was this company's got a legal note. This company sent him a legal notice. This happened, that happened. So they were very scared that who will employ him. He's not wanting to go back to the US. And there's a lot of other family stuff also going on. So it was very scary at that point. But and also there were a few articles that what Food Pharmer has said is unscientific. So not only do I don't have a job, I'm fighting legal bills, and also there's a public perception that I'm potentially maybe unscientific. But then I got a lot of support from doctors, nutritionists, and a lot of public support, and who realized that actually I was scientific. And that really changed the public perception. And then for 1.5 years, I was relying entirely on my savings. Not that I did not have opportunity to make money. I had a lot of opportunities to make money. But I relied on my savings. And then eventually I started speaking at public events where I was getting paid to speak at events. So then money stopped. Earlier I had enough savings, so there was no issue. Then eventually I found a way to make money as well. So everything slowly started getting streamlined. And then parents also got a bit more peaceful. And
so are they like, ab beta settle ho gaya? Are they in that zone?
Yes, but every now and then, every 1 or 2 weeks, when they open their Instagram and they suddenly see me fighting with some company, again, they are like, what has gone? So they still, I think I have also become more toned down compared to what I was 1.5 years ago. But even then, sometimes they do get scared, like when I make certain videos.
Okay. So taking from that one chapter in your book to what has exploded into a whole career for you now, what was the trigger for you to get started on doing this? Clearly, you wrote a bunch of other chapters, but you chose that one chapter to inform what has become your career now. So was there any personal event trigger?
No, I would say it's a summation of many small things. It's not one incident. I was in the US once again. In the US, people have a lot more packaged food than even India on a per capita basis. And even in the US, I used to get frustrated that when you go to a grocery store, you pick up an item, it'll say high protein, you turn it around, it'll be 2 grams of protein. So I was like, what am I buying? And so I wanted to do something, but I thought instead of doing it in the US, why don't I do it in India where there's even more of a need, even lesser people reading labels and lack of awareness. So I thought, why don't I come back and do it here? My initial idea was to start a food scanning app where you scan the barcode of a label and you'll get a health rating. That was what my idea was initially when I came to India. Just imagine an IMDb of packaged food, sort of a thing where you scan the barcode, you'll get a health rating. And the rating should be with doctors, nutritionists and all, not just public rating like how IMDb is. So that was the idea. And then one thing led to the other. I made a video, the video went viral, and then the next video went viral, and third video went viral. And then unofficially, I'm not joking, within 2 to 3 weeks of me coming back to India, unofficially, I was like a mini face of food safety in India. In 2 to 3 weeks. So for example, on Twitter, even now, and even then, I'll get tagged. For example, you order a biscuit and you get an insect in your biscuit. They'll tag me that, Food Pharmer, can you do something? Sometimes it's funny and that one, some more things like, you order for veg food from a food delivery app, you by mistake get non-veg. They'll tag me, oh, can you fight against this food delivery app or something? Sometimes the delivery is half an hour late. And they're like tagging me. I'm like, what do I do now? And they'll put the order number and I'm like, what do I do? So it was just one thing led to the other.
So clearly you dug yourself this hole, so don't complain about it. But my question to you now is there a space for people like you, FMCG or whatever brands and businesses, regulatory bodies like ASCI and consumers to collaborate in some fashion so that we reach utopia for food health?
Sure. I mean, I'm definitely open for any sort of collaboration.
What are your ideas on how this could work? Because currently, my suspicion is that the tone between you and the brands kind of feels adversarial. And being a small representative of ASCI, I can tell you that even with ASCI, while the industry welcomes our contribution to guiding them on standards and so on and so forth, my suspicion is inside the offices, there's still some bit of a nuanced dance about our role, right? So I'm suspecting you're feeling some of the same.
No, for sure. I agree that, online tone is a little adversarial. However, I'm happy to give genuine feedback. If any company were to email me, or I would be happy to talk to any company that, let's work together in 6 months, 1 year. I understand it takes time, that how can we improve certain things. I know nothing can change overnight, but I would be happy to collaborate to genuinely try to see how you can go 5% better or 10% better. I understand that it's hard to completely transform, but I'm very, very open. I think it's just sometimes companies are also scared to reach out to me because they feel like, what if this guy, does something, and they also hesitate to reach out to me, which I understand. Like from a company's perspective, I understand that it would be difficult to...
Sure.
Yeah.
So let me play out a scenario. Somebody tweeted to you saying something more than insect and less than late delivery or whatever. And you, instead of, even if you thought it was serious enough, instead of then making a video about it, you picked up the phone on the company and said, guys, I'm hearing this. Kuch karen kya? Do you think that is a possible scenario?
It is a possible scenario. I would definitely love to work in a collaborative fashion, not just in a way that I'm fighting. Sometimes even I don't know who to reach out to, right? Mm-hmm. Even just the way the company may not know how I will respond. Even I don't know, can I talk to a company in a very frank way? I don't know. And on a very separate note, not answering your question, I have till date, since you mentioned insect right now,
sure.
I have till date never ever made a video on any company having an insect in their food, having a cockroach, having anything like that, a mold, I keep getting emails. I only make videos on intentional mistakes, not unintentional mistakes. I understand that if you sell 1 lakh packs a day of something, 1 pack may have some issue.
Sure.
Till date, the easiest way for me to go viral is to make a video of some company with a cockroach in your chocolate. Easiest way, but I'm choosing to not do that because I understand that if you sell lakhs and crores of packets, 1 or 2 may have issues. I am only making videos when there is an intentional, in my opinion, something misleading going on.
Got it.
I just want to clear that I am not some crazy guy who's trying to poke holes on everything.
Sure. I appreciate that. Before when I was first reached out to for this session by Saheli, I wondered for quite some time why they picked me to talk to you, because I don't come from the FMCG world. And then I realized that we have one thing in common.
I think
you have 5 million followers. I have 5,000. Yeah. But the other thing that we have in common, or not in common, I have with your FMCG friends, is that even in financial services, which is where I spend the bulk of my life, my pressure has been, because financial services is already complicated products, my requirement has been to simplify as much as possible. And then in a 30-second ad running on IPL, what the hell do you say? Now, a lot of FMCG brands also have the same problem. How can they be more elaborate, more clear, so that you don't feel that they are running dark patterns or oversimplifying beyond fairness? And counter, is there a risk that the hundreds of people who have followed you on this career path now are also at risk of oversimplifying even the dangers and drama around the food problem?
No, 100% your questions are valid. I'll just say one thing before I answer, that you said you're not from the FMCG background and you're surprised why you're the panelist. I think you are the panelist because you're not from the FM. If you were,
I wouldn't have come.
There will be controversy. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, the last part, I'll one by one answer. The last part of what you said, what if 100, 150 people who follow me oversimplify things? I do agree. I have seen some videos. For example, I never say sugar will kill you, sugar is poison, or XYZ product is poison. But I have seen some other people do make some videos like that ye khana zahar hai, and things like that, which I don't say. So I do understand that there is some oversimplification, and some people may not have that scientific nuance to make a certain video, but they may still make it ki just because something is potentially slightly unhealthy, they may go to some extremes. And unfortunately, negative news travels faster than neutral or nuanced views. So there is, of course, that risk, and I'm not denying it. Regarding your first thing, that there is the company gets 30 seconds in an IPL ad. So how can they communicate everything? I agree, but now companies have the advantage of social media that even if you cannot communicate every single thing on the IPL ad, there's a lot you can communicate on social media where you can educate the public. But for some reason, we don't see the full picture. We say a one-sided story sometimes, and every single company, not only food, you name the company, whether it's a bank or whether it's any industry, insurance or a steel or this formula is the same. Get a Bollywood actor or a cricketer, add some jingle, make some humor, and make some claim and repeat what the end customer wants to hear. Summary of marketing is repeat what the end customer wants to hear. So a product catering to a 8 to 14, in the food space, a product catering to 8 to 14-year-old will say it will make you taller. A product catering to 20 to 40-year-old will say it has protein. A product catering to 60, 70, 80-year-old will say Ashwagandha, Neem, Ayurveda. It's just repeating what the consumer wants to hear. So that is the thing that I think sometimes you have to also say what the consumer does not want to hear, which is the complete story. I'll just take a bit longer.
Go ahead.
I'll ask all of you all a question, and if you can raise your hands. Suppose you're going to buy a car. There's a salesman A and a salesman B. Salesman A says 9 positive things about the car and 0 negative things about the car. Salesman B says 6 positive things about the car and 3 negative things about the car. Who would you trust more, salesman A or salesman B? Who will trust A more? In the crowd, anyone? No one. Who will trust salesman B more? So almost everyone will trust salesman B more. But when was the last time you saw an advertisement with 6 positive things and 3 negative things?
So I'm glad you brought that question. This is the only chance I'll get to name a brand on this panel. But I grew up studying about how Listerine, for example, their advertising said, tastes so bad, it must really be good, right? But obviously, the exception doesn't prove the rule.
Yeah, my point is that...
Absolutely.
My point is, this is good for your business. Like as we saw, everyone will trust you more. Every single person will trust you more. It's good for business, but still you barely see companies do it. And that is what I want to do. So when I'm making videos, I try to say, this is good, this is bad. And for some reason, we only say this is good. That this will make, like, this is like perfect. And that is the challenge in every commercial, whether it's food, whether it's a car. And I think we need more both sides. That will not only help you build trust, it will also help you with sales.
Chalo, Revant, I'll challenge you. आप ही हमारे लिए ad बना के बताओ. If you had to make an ad which did this, which gave a balanced view, pick any product you like. We don't obviously care about the brand name. We'll call it RH or RX, whatever you like. But make an ad which you pick a product category. We'll pick one that you haven't done a video on so that it doesn't look like
I'll
picking on them.
give you an example. What I did with my own product is literally called own also coincidentally. But so I launched something called Only What's Needed a few months ago. It's a protein powder currently. And our belief is on conscious capitalism. So I just 5-6 days ago launched my plant protein. And we sold out within 2 days. So in that video, I very clearly said that this protein is coming at X price. But I've also said the taste is not great. Even now I'm saying the taste of our plant protein currently is very average. Still it sold out. Because I laid the pros and cons. I launched Whey Isolate about 3-4 weeks ago, which is a more expensive product. So I clearly said Whey Isolate is more expensive than Whey Concentrate. Don't buy it. Unless you're very sensitive with if you're lactose intolerant, then maybe you need a Whey Isolate. But very large percent of people don't need it. Still it did well. Because I'm laying out both sides of the story. As a result, people are trusting it more. And I understand that for an individual who's starting this, it's easier. For a large-scale brand, it's much more difficult. But I do think that if suppose, those low sugar, diabetes-focused drinks which are there, which target 50, 60-year-old, if they say that this is good for your health, but it tastes average, I think it could do well if they were very upfront about it. But most companies will say, yes, it's healthy for you. It's also tasty for you. I mean, noodles ads also taste me. Anyway.
Yeah, we won't go there. But I think what you're saying is probably exactly what Listerine did long ago, but maybe not a lot of brands do it. And I think I commend you for contributing this idea that take a negative and the audience and the customer gives you a positive in return because they see you as more honest and more self-effacing and so on and so forth. Now that you mentioned your product, your own brand, now that you are actually a founder and you have your own product and your own brand, is your perspective changing about how we should be communicating, or are you digging your heels even further in, saying we have to be super transparent?
No, I strongly believe in transparency, and I think it is not just a trust mechanism, it also helps with sales. Mm-hmm. Like if people will trust you more, they'll buy more for you. It's a very simple thing. And that is why everything that I will do will always be focused on trust. How can I think from a consumer perspective? How can I make it simpler for them? So that is why we have our nutrition label in the front of the pack. We have a bigger font. That let's make it easier for people. People usually find it very difficult to read a pack because they use very tiny font. So let's make it easier for the customer. And for example, in the protein space, every company writes 24 grams protein. 24 gram protein, 26 gram protein per scoop. And most people, most consumers, feel like 26 grams protein is better than 24 grams protein. So they'll rather go for 26 grams. But no one knows denominator mein kya hai. So it can be 26 grams protein, but the scoop size is 45 grams. Denominator no one is looking at. So in our pack, for example, we have the 24-gram protein per 33-gram scoop. Because, I know it's a bit complicated example, but my point is you can convince a customer 26 grams is better for you. But people won't even realize that they're actually getting less protein because the scoop size is big. So protein percentage is very small. Sure. My point, I know I'm going to a very random example, but my point is we're trying to think from the consumer lens to try to always do right by the customer. I want to do right by the customer. And as Food Pharmer, I have no option also to not do right by the customer. Because if I were to do something wrong, I'll get called out by various people. So I have no option but to do right by the customer. And that's good for me as well, because that will build long-term trust. That will build long-term branding. And hopefully, eventually, even sales can happen through that.
Okay. मेरे को लाल झंडी दिखाई गई है अभी. So I'm going to throw it to the audience and see if we have one or two questions. There's a gentleman on the second table.
Thanks. There was a discussion regarding whether we can show the positive and the negative things in the advertisement and all. As I understand, you are mainly focusing on the back of the pack labeling. But I'm not sure whether you have involved in something called the FOPL, front of the pack labeling, which many of the countries...
That's what he talked about. He said that he would welcome and invite people to do that.
Yeah.
Is that your point?
Yeah. The Delhi High Court had given the direction to the FSSAI in 2030. Now the Supreme Court had given the direction. But still, yielding to the industry pressure, the food regulator is not implementing that. The idea is to alert the consumers about the unhealthy ingredients. Like on the cigarette packet, it is written smoking is injurious to health. So on the front of the pack, there has to be a warning label which say that this is high in sugar,
Thank you, sir.
salt.
I hear that you are in vehement agreement with him. I'm going to pass the baton to Ms. Gokhale.
I agree that there should be a warning label like high sugar, high fat, high salt. I completely agree that front of pack should have that.
One quick question on the point you mentioned of generalized statements by influencers. The way we expect disclosures in terms of, the CCPA guidelines or ASCI guidelines of, the commercial connect, etc. But when somebody is making a statement that this product, there are data sets which say this leads to cancer or leads to this or that. What should be the level of, sort of responsibility when somebody, millions of people are following you? I'm not talking about you because you have made your point clear. What should be those principles that the influencer should adopt in your mind? And should there be a disclosure if they're saying there are reports to disclose in the comment section or otherwise, what those reports they are talking about?
I'll also follow it up and ask, should influencers like this also have self-regulation? Is there more work available for ASCI in that?
No, 100%. There should be much more, you have to be very careful of what you say. Like, you cannot just say XYZ will cause you harm. Like, as I said, this will do this is poison, this is diabetes, this is cancer. So you have to be very careful because it's very difficult to build a brand. It takes years and years and years. That is very, very challenging. And also there is another thing that there are some foods which are openly junk foods. They're not even claiming to be healthy. So I have more of a problem with junk food pretending to be healthy. But there are some companies which are junk food and they're openly junk. So in that case, if you go on and if you say XYZ things, they're not claiming to be healthy either. So I do agree that influencers do need to self-regulate to some extent that are they being scientifically true or not. On the flip side, I'll also say one thing. All these big food companies, they'll hire Bollywood celebrities who are making a lot of health claims. And that is also not scientific often. And that also no one is questioning as much. That, people will question that, is this influencer a doctor or not? Or is this influencer a nutritionist or not? But is the Bollywood celebrity a nutritionist? Who's making hundreds of millions of people saying that this juice is healthy, this is healthy. So both sides need to get regulated.
Okay, I'm making a prediction here today. After doing his viral videos, Revant has gone and launched his own protein product. So after what he said today, my bet is Revant will feature in a Bollywood movie within 2 years. As the lead actor, obviously. Ronak, and then we are done.
What stops you from launching the food health rating app that you spoke about, right? I think it's still a huge opportunity in the country and has very widespread impact even in spaces where people are not glued to social media, right? That's question one. And second question, you also said that you've toned down compared to a year and a half back. What changed and how does it impact to the only fighter in the country for all our health consciousness?
It's a good question. So first of all, the first question, I did not start a food rating app. However, there is an app which I have partnered with called Truth In. You can download the app right now, Truth In, and you can scan the barcode of any label and you'll get a health rating. So that already exists. You can go and scan anything. A lot of people ask me around lab certification. That is something which I have not gotten into yet. But a food rating website I've already partnered with Truth In. So you can check it out. Second question was around me toning down in the last 1.5 years, which I mentioned.
Mommy, daddy. My answer is mommy, daddy.
That's a good excuse. No, so yeah, a part of the reason is that a part of the reason is a bit of fatigue and you get certain types of whatever like illegal stuff and you get a bit tired of looking into that all the time. A part of that is you yourself mature as well. That you realize that certain things, the tonality could be a bit more nuanced. Like sometimes, again, as I said in the beginning, I make certain videos and then other people are making videos that are saying, X is going to kill you, Y will do this. So I am also trying to be more nuanced so that the people who are getting inspiration from me also are more nuanced. So you have to realize that not everyone has the same knowledge. So I am trying to also be slightly more scientific. I was scientific back then also, but with tonality as well. That the same thing you'll say, but if you say it in a bit, the tonality, if it's a bit milder, people, I think, will take it a bit better. So that's the only thing. But as you've seen that in my videos, I still take all brand names. I don't blur logos. Lawyers tell me to do that, but I don't do any of that. So I still am very open. People thought that after I start my own brand, I'll stop doing all of this, but I still do everything. So I'm still here to fight. I'm still here to continue to do what I'm here for, which is to try to help our packaged foods become cleaner, to help Indian citizens, 140 crore Indians become more health literate. So I'm still true to my mission and there is no compromise there.
Okay, the good news is Revant is willing to partner. Can I see a show of hands for FMCG people in the room?
Which company? Okay.
All right, super. So at least we have a start. So we're into that healthier and friendlier future. May this country awake. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.